Hey, what is up, Bumblebee fam? Dewey Stew here, and boy oh boy do I have a great video for you today. Have any of you ever heard of a little show called The Simpsons? Maybe? The one with all the yellow characters? Yeah. Well, not only is it one of the longest running TV shows in history, it may also have been predicting our futures for the past 30 odd years. Need proof? Then keep watching, because today we look at the top 10 Simpsons predictions that have actually come true. Starting us off at number 10 is a horsemeat scandal. Back in 1994, in one episode, lunch lady Doris prepares a lunch for the students of Springfield, made from assorted horse parts. Gross. But get this. Just 9 years later, across the pond over in Ireland, the Food Safety Authority found horse DNA in over a third of beef burger samples from supermarkets and ready-made meals. But that wasn't all that was found. They also found traces of pig in 85% of tested food as well. Every now and then you hear stories about food that just make you question everything you have ever eaten, and for me, this is one of them. I personally do eat meat and do eat bacon and pork, and whether this is hypocritical or not, there is no way I could eat a horse on purpose. I grew up in the country, folks, and spent too much time around them, so if I had more time with the other animals, I'm sure that would make me a straight up vegetarian, but like I said before, food is my ultimate weakness. Except for horse meat. At number 9, we have a three-eyed fish. Back in 1990, in one episode of The Simpsons, fan favorite Bart goes fishing and catches a three-eyed fish named Blinky in a river by the power plant, and it makes local news headlines everywhere. Well, guess what was found in Argentina about a decade later? Yeah, you guessed it, a three-eyed fish. But wait, it gets even better. It was later discovered that this reservoir in Argentina was also fed by water from a nearby power plant. The name of the person who discovered the fish, as far as I know, wasn't named Bart, but nevertheless was predicted in an episode of The Simpsons a decade earlier. I wonder how many other three-eyed creatures there are coming out of nuclear rivers and reservoirs all over the world. Three-eyed frogs, three-eyed lizards, three-eyed turtles, three-eyed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? We can only hope. At number 8, we have the censorship of the Statue of David. Also in a Simpsons episode from 1990 titled Itchy and Scratchy and Marge, the Statue of David is put on display at a museum in Springfield, and the locals protest against the infamous statue, claiming that it is obscene for its nudity. Well, sure enough, in the city of St. Petersburg, Russia, back in 2016, there was a vote to cover up a copy of the statue that had been brought and put up in the central area of the city. They specifically wanted to clothe the statue. Imagine having this infamous statue that is centuries old come to your hometown, and the first thing people do is say, nope, not feeling it, no, give them a pair of Wranglers, please. Get over yourselves. Maybe I just think like this because I grew up surrounded by the arts, but hey, I mean, come on guys, it's the Statue of David. At number 7, we have a letter from the notorious band The Beatles. Back in 1991, one episode of The Simpsons showed Beatles superstar Ringo Starr answering fan mail that had been written to the band decades before. In 2013, a pair of Beatles superfans got a reply from a piece of fan mail with an attached recording from the infamous Paul McCartney himself. Although the original piece of fan mail and recording was sent to the band more than 50 years ago. The piece of mail was originally sent to a London theater the band was set to perform at the time, but was later discovered in a car boot sale by a historian 50 years later. Luckily for these two thankfully still alive fans, in 2013 on BBC's The One Show, they were reunited with the recording and letter along with a reply from Sir Paul McCartney himself. I wonder if those two were ever like Simpsons fans and watched that TV show, specifically that episode, just holding out on hope for years that they would finally get a response. You know, I sent a fan email to Ellen DeGeneres when I was 11. Maybe she'll apply when I'm 61. At our number 6 spot, we have the infamous Siegfried and Roy tiger attack. Back in 1993, The Simpsons aired an episode with the two infamous Vegas performers being attacked by one of their trained white tigers during a performance in a casino. Well, I actually remember this happening as I was little and I was a huge Magic fan. But back in 2003, Roy of Siegfried and Roy was actually attacked by one of their very own white tigers during one of their performances. Roy, who has now since sadly passed away in 2020, sustained some severe injuries after the attack. For one, I can't imagine being attacked by such a large animal, and two, I also can't imagine watching that on stage while trying to enjoy a night out. For all parties included, it sounds like a bad deal. But no matter what, it's moments like this show that remind you why to not have a pet tiger or a lion. Am I the only one who watched Tiger King? Exactly. Coming in at our number 5 halfway point is the thing I'm wearing and many people around the world now rely on for day-to-day life: smartwatches. In an episode that aired back in 1995 set in the future, Lisa's future husband makes a call using his smartwatch. The first smartwatch wasn't actually created until 2013, and the very first Apple Watch was released just 2 years later in 2015. But of course, if any of you have one of these crazy things, you know that we can do much more than just talk on them. I can pay on this thing, I can talk on the phone. I just discovered a crazy cool feature on here where I can walkie-talkie one of my best friends who lives out in BC, and I can also track my workouts. It can literally do everything but make me lunch. But hey, Apple, how about an update? Coming off the trails of the smartwatch, here's something else that we have all grown accustomed to: autocorrect. In a Simpsons episode back in 1994, school bullies Kearney and Dolph take a memo to beat up Martin on their Newton device, which autocorrects to "eat up Martha." Funnily enough, the fictional Newton device was actually a joke on Apple's underwhelming Newton message pad that was released in 1993. Nitin Ganatra, a former director of engineering iOS application at Apple, actually came out on record saying that the Newton device from the Simpsons episode helped inspire the iPhone keyboard that we all know and love today. How crazy is that? Maybe The Simpsons is more influential than we originally believed to be. One thing is for sure, autocorrect is sometimes a huge pain in the rear. Just earlier this month, I welcomed a new employee here at the studio and got her name terribly wrong in our chat. And I also messaged a former instructor of mine a long time ago that we all called Sarge and found my autocorrect to Large. The message was, "Hey Large, want to grab something to eat with us?" Yeah. I haven't heard from her since. Starting us off in our top 3 spot, we have Disney buying 20th Century Fox. In the 1998 episode titled "When You Dish Upon a Star," Homer Simpson pitches a script to Hollywood's Ron Howard and Brian Glazer. The two Hollywood legends greenlight the project and then produce it at a 20th Century Fox studio where out front it says 20th Century Fox, a division of Walt Disney Company. Fast forward almost 20 years later, Disney purchased 20th Century Fox for an estimated $52.4 billion, and with the purchase also obtained the bulk of Fox's television production assets. Disney also gained access to other properties such as X-Men, Avatar, and quite fittingly, the popular TV show, you guessed it, The Simpsons. Coming in at our number 2 spot, we have faulty voting machines. Back before President Barack Obama became president in 2008, just months before, there was an episode where lead character Homer Simpson went to the polls to vote for Obama. Just then, his vote was mistakenly counted towards the Republican representative John McCain instead. 4 years later in Pennsylvania, a voting machine had to be removed after most of the votes for Obama on the machine were instead counted towards his Republican rival, Mitt Romney. Did The Simpsons predict the future, or did a Simpsons fan just toy with the machine so that they could add to the long list of predictions turned into true stories? We may never know. Or will we? I guess we'll just have to watch The Simpsons to stay up to date. And finally, finishing us off at our number 1 spot, we have the one that everyone talked about the moment it all happened: Trump becoming president. About 20 years before Donald Trump became the 45th President of the United States, The Simpsons aired an episode where Trump announced that he would be in the running for President of the United States of America. Well, we all know how that story turned out, and as the last 4 years, we have all been living through it. Honestly, for some of the crazy things that this guy has been known to say, I wouldn't be surprised if he watched a Simpsons episode back in the 90s and got the idea to be, "Hey, I should be president." Hey Donnie, are you a Simpsons fan? Anyway, there you have it folks, the top 10 Simpsons predictions that have come true. Some of these are crazy weird, and some of these I honestly think make a lot of sense. I think it's also just a part of the reason why the show has been running for so long. When a show does that well at staying in touch with world affairs as well as knowing its audience, it's honestly hard to fail. I never watched much of The Simpsons honestly, but I can say I did see the odd episode here and there and did always enjoy it. But after seeing this list, maybe I better start watching and bring myself up to speed. You know, just to see what's in store for the future. Anyway, thanks for watching today everyone. Please let me know down in the comments if you know any other future predicting TV shows on air, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Bumblebee to see more of the wonderful Rachel Fisher and I will see you all back here very, very soon. Until next time, buzz off!